Let's talk about accommodation options for international students in Mauritius. The first thing that you need to know is that accommodation prices depends on the location that you choose. There are some expensive areas, and then there are some areas that are student friendly and more affordable to students. For example, these three areas are very expensive: Grand Bay, Flick and Flag, and Tamarin. They are nice areas, and also they are high tourist areas, so that is why they are expensive and probably not suitable for students, especially if you are on the scholarship. Because none of the institutions, none of the universities that are affiliated with the scholarship are nearby these areas. For example, Grand Bay, if you live in Grand Bay and you go to UTM or University of Technology, you will have to take 2 buses to get to the university. That is how far the area is. The Grand Bay is in the north, and then UTM is in Port Louis. So you have to be considerate of the location that you choose for your accommodation. And for affordable options for students, these are the places: Catrabones, Rose Hill, Vakwa, Phoenix, Bubesin. These are the areas that you can explore for your accommodation. Now, there are different types of accommodation there are different types of accommodations that you can look into or that you can explore. The first one, student residences. You can choose to live in student residences, but there are not a lot of them. Student residences is more like a hostel type of thing. If you want to live with other students in the same building or in the same block, then you can explore student residences. The second option is a studio, what we call a studio. A studio is like a one big room, not too big, it's just one room, and inside that room there is a toilet, there is a shower, there is a bed, there is a desk. So it's suitable for only one person to live in a studio. The third option would be an apartment. Apartments are quite expensive. There are apartments that are really expensive, like 40,000 rupees per month. Those are not for students. For apartments, it also depends on the location. Let's say you are in Port Louis and you find a one-bedroom apartment. You probably pay 7,000 or 8,000. That's an estimation. But if you go to Grand Bay or Flick and Flag, the same apartment will be around 10,000 rupees. Apartment is when you want to be private, when you just want your peace and quiet, you just want to live alone, then you can go the apartment route. And then the last option is the housing route, the house route, which is the most option that students go for, where you rent out one big house. Within that house, there are bedrooms, maybe 3 or 4 bedrooms, and then each student has their own bedroom, but you share the kitchen, you share the bathroom, and you share the toilet. It's more affordable. It's the most affordable option because you are sharing the rent with other students. But this one, it would depend on your preference. If you want to be living with other people in the same house, that's the option for you. If you don't want that kind of arrangement, maybe explore a studio or apartment. Studios are quite hard to find. It's hard to find a studio, but you can find something. So for 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 University of Mauritius, the nearest areas that we can explore are Mocha or Ebene. That's my son in the background. He's playing. Please don't mind him. For University of Technology, you can explore Lato Koning or Pointer Sub or even Port Louis. And then Mauritius Institute of Education and University of Mauritius, they are near each other. You can explore Mocha, of course, or Ebene. I've already mentioned that for the University of Mauritius, but the Mauritius Institute of Education is also near Mauritius, University of Mauritius, you can explore the same locations. And for University de Mascareign, you can explore places like Rose Hill or Bubesin. If you don't find anything within your university location, then explore the other areas that I mentioned earlier that are more affordable for students. Now, how do you find accommodation? The very first option that you need to start with is your university. Start with your university. Normally they have a list of accommodation providers. You can, and these are verified providers because the university facilitated that. That is why it should be your priority option. After you get admission, ask the university for the contacts of possible landlords. Explore that option. If you don't find anything, then perhaps you can use Facebook Market. Normally they do post accommodation there, but be careful because with Facebook Market there might be scams and it's hard to tell which one is a scam, which one is authentic. And then the other option is to use an agent, but the agent option might be costly because you also have to pay the agent an equivalent of the rent amount that you are going to pay. Let's say, for example, the agent finds you an apartment that is 10,000 rupees, for example. You are going to pay 10,000 rupee deposit, 10,000 rupee 1 month accommodation, and then 10,000 rupees for the agent. So that's 30,000 rupees. But if you find accommodation directly with the landlord, you cut on the agent expenses. So that is why it's important to start with the first option of finding accommodation through your university. In terms of utilities, it will depend on the landlord. Sometimes they include the utilities in your rent. Sometimes they are paid separately, especially for apartments. You'd find that you have to pay the rent, and then in addition you have to pay for electricity, water, internet. When you are looking for accommodation, be sure to find accommodation that is inclusive of Wi-Fi. Because if the house, maybe you find a house with other students and that house doesn't have Wi-Fi. Normally houses, they do have Wi-Fi. The house option, they do have Wi-Fi. But for studio, for apartment, be sure that they have Wi-Fi included. If it's not included, that is going to be tedious for you. That is going to add an extra expense to you because you have to arrange for Wi-Fi. And it can be expensive to pay for Wi-Fi monthly. It's around 1,200 rupees per month to pay for a router to have Wi-Fi at home. The other option is to do a phone contract. You pay, I think it's 584 rupees per month to have internet, unlimited internet on your phone, and then you can hotspot your laptop. But that is limiting because for you to use your laptop, you need to hotspot with your phone. But if there is Wi-Fi, then you know that you can freely access internet. As a student, you need to have access to Wi-Fi. So that's something that you need to consider. When you are finalizing your accommodation, make sure to get a letter from the landlord and their ID. Sometimes their ID is required. Letter confirming that they are going to accommodate you, or a contract. Apartments can be more formal. They give you a contract to indicate that you have accommodation. You will need that letter or the contract for your visa application and also for your stay here in Mauritius. A lot of the time, proof of accommodation is required. Like when you are opening your bank account, when you are setting up your SIM card for here, a local SIM card, they will always require proof of payment, proof of address, sorry. So please make sure that you get that letter or contract so that you are able to provide it without any complications, any worries. Remember the 4 options. It's up to you to choose the option that works best for you. I'm not familiar with student residences and I don't want to mention any names because this is my private channel. I don't want to mention names of student residences or accommodation agents that are not affiliated with me or this channel. That's something that you need to find out on your own. You need to research on your own. I wanted to provide you with that information to know that, okay, this option exists. Now it's for you to find the option that works for you and do a little bit of research to find out the student residences that are available. And also, if you choose to find some, if you don't want to do the work and you want a professional to help you find accommodation, to find out the accommodation agents in Mauritius. So that's basically how it is in terms of accommodation. In the next video, I will talk about experiences as an international student here in Mauritius so that you know what to expect. Look out for that video. Thank you, and remember to subscribe to my channel.